Hey, honey.
Yes, Barry?
Let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler. I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the La Palapa group of restaurants. Those are the La Palapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos beach. And then there's the El Dorado Restaurant and Beach Club right next door, so you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week we go to the Cuale Island, Isla Cuale, for the grand opening of the Bistro Cafe. We're going to visit Sophia Botner. Sophia is the Director of Sales and Marketing and Group Events over at Grupo La Palapa. She's going to tell us all about this beautiful riverside restaurant on the Rio Cuale, which was brought back to life in all of its glory and then some by the folks over at Grupo La Palapa. I stopped in to catch up with our friends Lisa and Billy at one of our favorite children's shelters in Vallarta, RISE, Refugio Infantil Santa Esperanza, up in Benito Juarez. They have some events that are coming right up as well, so we want to get right to them. We have Vallarta news and more. Let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 9th day of December, 2024. I'm once again coming to you from high above Puerto Vallarta in my outdoor studio. I'm going to do my best to filter out any outside noises, but if you do hear some, I do apologize in advance. And, Puerto Vallarta is in the midst of processions. They have these Guadalupeña processions for the first 12 days of December, leading up to Christmas, to the Christmas time. I talked about that last time that we got together and about how in the neighborhood that we're currently living in, we saw them getting ready for their time, their scheduled time when they're going to join in on their procession. And they were making by hand these headdresses that were known as penachos, which they were going to wear in the processions, in which they did. So this is the first time for Debbie and I in Vallarta during Christmas. So we've never experienced these 12 days in person. And we're living right above the church just about now. And I'll share with you what it's like to be where we are up above the church at about 6 o'clock in the morning, along with the church bells ringing at the Iglesia de Santa Cruz, which is on the other side of our hill. The church bells start ringing over at the Iglesia de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe, and this is what it sounds like. You ready? Here it comes. So that all goes on for about a minute or so, and if you've had too much to drink the night before, sorry about that. They don't care. And that's not all. As I said, when I said there's more, there's some guy who's in charge of waking up the dead. He shoots off one or two of these big bottle rockets or some sort of rocket right over the church. It sounds like an M80 going off, like a shotgun going off. And this guy's got a great job. He's got the best job of anybody. But anyway, these things go on over the church. So while these bells are ringing, and then all of a sudden you hear boom, you hear it, and then boom, off this thing goes. And you can actually see it happen in front of your face if you're looking there at, happen to be looking at the right time. And anyway, this happens about every 15 minutes or so during the evenings and in the mornings. So anyway, things get really busy at night, though, and around the Woolworths, which is downtown in Puerto Vallarta, on Calle Juarez, they close off the streets, and then the parade goes down the street to the church. And all of the side streets, they've got tables that are set up with food, and they've got drinks, and they've got candies and cakes, and you name it, everything, bacon wrapped hot dogs, everything that you can imagine is being sold at these tables by different organizations that are church affiliated. And so there is just food tables everywhere, and some of it's pretty good too. And what happens is that these different Catholic church organizations from around town, they've been doing this drill for years, and each one is scheduled for a day and a time to march in these processions. And of course, this happens for 12 days, so everybody's got a slot. And lots of these groups, you can actually see them during the day marching through town from wherever they're coming from, whatever colonia they're coming from, down to where the parade starts, downtown near the Woolworths. So anyway, a lot of these groups, they've got they've got a couple people that hold a banner in front, so you know what colonia they're from or what group they belong to, and then they all have like a drum player or a group of drummers. And almost all of them have these dancing group of costumed Aztec dancers. They're boys, there's girls, there's men and women, depending on what group it is, right? They've got their own little groups going on. And of course, this is religious Catholic organizations in different neighborhoods and stuff like that. So anyway, these guys have created these dance troupes. And they're dressed with this native handmade Aztec costume stuff, and they almost all of them have either handmade or ornate feather headdresses on, which are known as panachos. If you're listening last week, we talked a little bit about the Panacho de Moctezuma, which is it's a sore spot. But if you haven't heard that, listen to it. Go back and listen to that story. A lot of them wore these wooden nuts or these hollow beads or whatever it is around their ankles that makes this rattling, kind of a clacking sound when they walk and they dance around. Most of them were barefoot. You've actually seen these people. You've seen them dressed up all around town, all around the tourist places for years, right? They're dancing. They got a drummer. They collect tips. They've got the headdress thing. But yeah, I mean, they're just doing. I actually have a picture from 1984 of them doing the same thing. So yeah, they all dress like that. Anyway, these groups of dancers were accompanied by a float, usually like some kind of a large, like a truck or something like that. And then in the back, they've got like some lifelike, or even in some cases a real live Virgin of Guadalupe person. So this person or the statue is in the back of the truck, for example, and you got to hold your breath because you're watching these trucks, these floats, and they start and they stop and they jolt, and these people are they're just barely tied in. You watch them hold on for dear life. Anyway, each group has like members of the community of that particular colonia. They're marching along. They're doing the procession thing. What are they proceeding? What do you call that? Anyway, they're all wearing like white shirts and blouses and dark colored pants or, dresses. And anyway, they're lined up and they do the procession thing in unison. Sometimes they're holding candles, singing songs, and there they go. They just walk along Juarez. And now the group from our neighborhood, from El Cerro, they all gathered together at Emiliana Carranza and Aldama. And they had their group of dancers were mostly like young ladies, like preteen girls. And they had those handmade panachos like I talked about last week. And they had a group of mariachis, and they had accompanying singers, ladies singing with them. It was very nice. And lots of the neighbors joined in on the procession. So they had a big group. They also had one of those Virgin floats out there, one of those trucks with the Virgin in the back. And we followed them down to where they started off. And it was a lot of fun. And so the drill is that each of these groups, they're heading down Juarez, and they stop every so often. They do their dance, which can take maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then they go off, and then they stop again, and they do this all the way until they get to the church, the Iglesia de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe, the big one, and that's where they do their last dance. And then the church bells go just wild, and inside the church they all go. I mean, they all get right in the church. So everybody from that neighborhood now is inside the church all together. I don't know what happens in there. I mean, I'm guessing maybe holy water's involved. I'm not sure. If you know, let me know. But anyway, they go in there. They kind of disappear in there, and there's probably like a rear exit where they leave. But and then the next group comes in and they do their dance and the bells ring again and they go, and it's just kind of like that. It's kind of crazy, but it's a lot of fun. People are having a great time. The neighborhoods are just it's like everybody gets together. It's really pretty sweet. Anyway, that happens for 12 days and 12 nights in Puerto Vallarta, with those Jesus bombs included. Those booms, like those things. And today, by the way, is the feast day for Saint Juan Diego. That's right, it's Juan Diego's day. It was back on December 9th, 1531, the day that Juan Diego met the Virgin of Guadalupe for the first time. He met her a couple of times. Juan Diego was born in 1471 in Cuautitlan, Mexico. That's near where current day Mexico City is. And he belonged to the poorest and the most numerous class of the Aztec tribe, besides that of the slaves, that is. And Juan Diego, he spoke in Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs. Now, a fun fact, if you notice his birth date, if you look at the birth date, 1474, Juan Diego was born 18 years before Columbus sailed to America, and he was baptized by a Franciscan missionary in 1524 at the age of 50. He became a farmer, and 7 years later, after he was baptized, in 1531, he saw the Virgin Mary on Tepeyac Hill. So anyway, Juan Diego was no spring chicken when he met the Virgin. And here's the story in a nutshell. If you don't know it already, I'll do my best to get it done if you do. Juan Diego was walking to church, a mere 14-mile walk from his home, as he did often, because he was a devout Catholic. He was a convert. As I said, he was baptized at the age of 50, and he was approached by the Virgin Mary, who introduced herself to him and asked him if he'd go to the monastery and tell the bishop that we had this little talk, and I want him to build this church up on Tepeyac Hill so the people could come to know me, and I could help the people, and she could quell their suffering. And so Juan Diego went to the bishop that very same day and told him the story. And the bishop said, yeah, well, I'll think about it. So Juan goes back to Tepeyac same day, and he finds the Virgin. He tells her what happened. And he told her that, look, I'm not really that important. I'm just a mere native, and maybe you should send somebody more important than me. Kind of in those words, right? So that the bishop would actually listen to that person. She said, no, you're my guy. Go back, which he did the very next day. Now, this time, the bishop seemed a little bit more open to Juan Diego. He said, look, bring me some proof that you saw the Virgin. So again, Juan Diego goes back to Tepeyac Hill. He says, hey, the bishop needs some proof. And so the Virgin says, okay, I'll tell you what, come back tomorrow. We'll work something out. But when Juan Diego got home, he had a little issue. He found that his ailing uncle, Juan Bernardo, was really, really sick. And so the next morning, actually, on the 12th of December, he looked like old Juan Bernardo might be dead in a couple hours. So Juan Diego, he snuck around another way to look for a priest to give his uncle his final rites. And he knew that, he had this mission with the Virgin, but hey, he needed to attend to his uncle, right? So off he went in search of a priest. And then he ran into the Virgin again. And she's like, hey, what the heck? He says, hey, my uncle, I've got an issue with and she says, look, don't worry about your uncle. He's already feeling better. Go up on that hill and pick some flowers, bring them back to me, and I'll take care of your uncle. So Juan Diego went up the hill where she had instructed him to go, and to his surprise, because it was the middle of winter, this hill, which was normally, strewn with cactus and scrub brush and stuff, he found beautiful roses, which he collected in his shawl, or a tilma, as they call it, and he brought them back to the Virgin, who rearranged the roses in the cloak and handed them back to Juan Diego and said, now, take these to the bishop and tell him I want a church. So Juan went back and appeared once again before the bishop, where he opened his tilma, and the roses spilled out on the floor. Obviously a big surprise to everybody. But an even bigger surprise was the tilma itself. There was the imprint of the Virgin of Guadalupe right there on the cloak. It seemed that the roses left this imprint of the Virgin. And so, so the church was built, and it was said at that moment, actually, that Catholicism melded with the native Indian culture. The Virgin actually spoke to Juan Diego in his native tongue, and she actually wanted Juan Diego, the low-caste Aztec, to carry the message to the bishop. And of course, that's the reason that you see the dancers wearing those penachos on their head. It's that ancient Aztec, headdress that you see them wearing at the pilgrimages in Mexico. And of course, everybody's just bringing all that into the church. It is fascinating. So Juan Diego's tilma is still visible in Mexico City at the Basilica of Guadalupe. You can see it today if you want to. As for Juan Diego, he lived the rest of his days as a hermit in a hut, which was built for him right near the Basilica de Guadalupe. So happy Juan Diego Day, everybody. All right, now, I received a very interesting email from listener Susan. I think the information that she sent me can really help somebody, definitely can help somebody, can come in handy at least to somebody that you know, or maybe even you one day. So back on November 6th, Susan writes, hello, Barry. I had planned on emailing you to tell you about all the fun we've had and all the recommendations that we used from your show. I still will after we get home, but our friend who we're traveling with lost her passport yesterday. We're in Yulapa, but we're headed back to PV. We listened again to your podcast about Mitch, and what he went through to get a new passport. We're supposed to fly out on Thursday, tomorrow, so I'm wondering if you've got a person that you can recommend who can help us navigate all this, maybe get some information from Mitch or from a local person. We've tried calling the consulate, but we have no success. Trying to get any information, if we can, an emergency passport, maybe something sooner than 2 weeks. Anyway, she says thanks in advance. I saw this. It was obviously too late when I saw this, but I sent her. I sent a couple of emails to people that I knew. And then I followed up with her, and here's what I got back. She says, "Hey, Barry, thanks for your reply. I want to tell you what happened. I'll give you a shorthand version. Here we go. So my friend who lost her passport, Tina, called Delta because she couldn't get anyone at the embassy or the consulate to answer the phone. The first Delta agent she spoke to said to just arrive to the Delta desk and show the photograph she had of her passport, and that they would go ahead and let her fly. We then got a suggestion that she better go to the consulate in Puerto Vallarta and speak to them directly, as we were flying out the very next day, Thursday, today. So we packed up and jumped on the 9:30 a.m. boat from Yalapa back to PV, where she and her husband took an Uber to Nuevo, no problems. The agent there said yes, that Delta would let her fly with the passport photo, just to arrive extra early there. Then they took a taxi back to PV, because it ended up being cheaper than an Uber, but took the taxi back with no problems. So this morning she arrived early, and all they did was take a photo of her passport photo and sent the pic to Customs and Border Patrol for approval. Then they printed the picture of the passport photo and handed it to her, and that was it. She had previously entered her passport information on her Delta app. When we got to Atlanta, they took her a picture at Customs, and then they waved her through. We were told that this was a new procedure that at least Delta is doing for its passengers, and it's been in place for the last year. And we were so relieved, she writes. I'll send you another email about some fantastic restaurants that we discovered, but we really did enjoy La Palapa, the Gusto Lounge, the Botanical Gardens, and did our souvenir shopping last night at Alferreria Tlaquepaque. But you were our tour guide, and I thank you for all the good info. Oh, and no one got Montezuma's revenge. Thanks again, Susan. So, thank you. Thank you very much, Susan. What an ordeal, but handled well. And I would have to say, it's a wonder that anybody needs a passport anymore at all, with all this face recognition stuff that they're doing right now at the airports nowadays. And of course, when we get to the airport, we scan our passports to get our baggage claim tickets usually. We enter our passport information when we buy our tickets online. At least I do. I don't know if you do. But hey, it was very lucky that she actually had a photo of her passport with her. And maybe that's not such a bad idea. Not a bad thing really to have on your phone, just in case. So think about doing that, maybe taking a photo of that passport that you're traveling around with. Not a bad idea. Anyway, remember though that they don't like you to have a color photo of your passport with you when you're traveling around Mexico. Although the rules change almost every day around here, I'm pretty sure that they still have this rule where, yeah, you know, it's wise maybe to carry around a passport photo, but make sure it's black and white. If you are carrying it around in Mexico. Now, that being said, you actually should always carry some form of ID with you when you travel, just in case you get hit by a bus or you're incapacitated in some way. You should have a card or maybe a piece of paper with you on your person with your name, your address, and maybe a contact person's phone number and email. And at the minimum, you should have that. And if you're traveling, I hope that you have traveler's insurance and that you're using it. And if you are, you need to carry a copy of the policy or, a printout of the policy card that they usually email to you, because if you've got to all that trouble of buying the insurance and you're not carrying it with you, nobody knows what good is it. So I got a message from my friend Marty. Marty has been on the show a couple times, and he's with the Lions Club in Indiana, and he and his wife, Janine, they're both very much involved with their eyeglass program, and they come down to different parts of Mexico, and they put on this Lions Club eyeglasses program, which is very nifty. They fit people up for eyeglasses. A very special thing that the Lions do. So Marty, he wanted to know when I was going to change the beginning of the show now that we've moved to Puerto Vallarta. I mean, he has a point. We're not vacationing here anymore. And the introduction music has us flying in every week, but reality is that I don't really want to change any of that. The fact of the matter is the whole idea of the show was to give listeners ideas of places to go, experiences that they should have, things that they should try, things that locals or visitors should do, right? I mean, lots of you live in Vallarta who listen to the show. Maybe you're not full-time, maybe you're here maybe half the year, 5 or 6 months out of the year, but I don't want to change this to here's what it's like to live in Puerto Vallarta show. I want to keep it as a Puerto Vallarta is a cool place to visit. It's diverse. It's got lots of things for visitors to do. And let me show you how to do it, because it's just so easy to be able to just land here and do it. That's what I want, right? By the way, we had a lovely meal and margaritas at our favorite margarita place, San Lucas, with Marty and Janine and their friends last week. We had some great times. So thank you. Thanks for the question, Marty. No, I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to do it. Now, with that in mind, Debbie and I are almost done with our residency. Yay! Actually, the week before Thanksgiving, we left town. We snuck out of Vallarta. We went back to Los Angeles to pick up some of our belongings and to visit family and friends and do some Thanksgiving stuff. And then we needed to do some paperwork, get it all ready for our flight to Phoenix, Arizona. We sat down for our interview for our temporary residency, and we were successful. Yay! And so our next step is within the next week or two, and hopefully soon. Once that's done, I can actually tell you the whole story that I've been holding back on until all of this is done and final. So anyway, hang in there. I know I promised you that I'd fill you in on the process and how we did it and how it went for us, but you haven't been hearing a lot of that because it's not over yet. So stand by. We're really excited. We're very, very excited. And speaking of excited, I am going to be crashing JR's meetup over at Nacho Daddy tomorrow, Tuesday, the 10th of December, at the famous Nacho Daddy in Zona Romantica. Now, that's JR's usual spot for his famous meetup. It happens every Tuesday at 6:30, and I'll bring my recording equipment with me. So if anybody wants to tell us what they've been doing or what they plan to do during their stay in Puerto Vallarta, well, we want to know what it is. If you have a business or a charity that you'd like to share with my listeners, I want to hear about it from you. So don't be shy. Come on down, spill the beans on my podcast. I'll just record it. We'll put it up in a show that'll be coming up in the near future. Let us know what you do, what you like to do, and how you like to do it when you come to Paradise in Puerto Vallarta. So we'll see you Tuesday, December the 10th. That's tomorrow, 6:30 at Nacho Daddy, Basilio Badillo 287 in Colonia Emiliano Zapata, lovingly known as Zona Romantica in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. JR goes from 6:30 until 8:30, so we'll see you there. The Mexican Congress is going after vaping again. The law will prohibit all vaping in Mexico, including fines. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more next week. The law has not taken effect yet. In fact, they don't expect that it will be implemented for at least a year, but I'll be talking about it more in depth, as I said, next week. The same goes for the new port tax that's coming up. Wow, lots of impuestos coming up. New taxes. Impuestos are taxes in Spanish. It's whale watching season here in Vallarta. Well, it's just getting started. There's pods that are just starting to show up of humpback whales in the Bahia de Banderas. And actually, we saw our first whales today, as a matter of fact, from our balcony. Now, we are currently in our third place since we moved to Puerto Vallarta at the beginning of September. So we are a bit nomadic over here. Our first place we stayed in was for a month. We stayed in an Airbnb in Conchas Chinas. Conchas Chinas is the Beverly Hills of Puerto Vallarta. It was just beautiful. The place was beautiful. It was peaceful for the most part. They didn't have marching bands like what I'm listening to right now. It was a steal. It was a steal for the month of September because it was the month of September. It was hot and humid, and nobody's here in September. But it was beautiful, and it was an open air kind of a place. In other words, it was open to the bay. It was like it had like three walls, and then the front end was just open right to the air. And then the second place was open air as well. It's just the same kind of a thing. Had no doors or windows in front, just like the first one. And that one was in and is in the El Cerro neighborhood, which is above the big church. And it's way up here. And well, from here, actually, and then we went upstairs. From there, we went to this little Palapa say studio with the most amazing view, and we have a nice patio to sit here, and so we can actually see both sides. We could see the church, the Iglesia de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe on one side, and from the other side we can see the Santa Cruz Church. So we have an amazing view, an amazing vista from here, but it is a bit primitive up here. It's not like you're not up, top-notch, people are not going to be waiting on your hand and foot over here, okay? But like I said, from here you can see the romantic zone, you can see the mountains around and across. It's just a beautiful view from here. I'd say it is one of the best views in Puerto Vallarta, especially if you're up on this rooftop. So anyway, we're going to be up here for New Year's. It will be amazing. And then we're going to move across from where we are right now to Colonia Alta Vista, up where Casa Isabel is. And so we plan to be up there for some time. And at least that is the plan. But we're going to talk more about that next week or the following week when the paperwork is done and I can safely talk about our experience of moving to Mexico and getting residency here. So anyway, I will definitely recommend the place that we're staying in today to any lover of Puerto Vallarta. You just need to be able to do stairs, okay? Just saying. You need to be mobile. I would not recommend this to people who are not mobile. It's a long way up here. Anyway, I will try to put videos of the places, the three different Airbnbs, in the show notes. But if you don't see them today, when you look, this is the day I post the podcast, the 9th of December. Come back on the 10th or on the 11th, and I'll have them for you then, I promise. But I want to thank our Airbnb host. His name is Lars. Thank you so much, Lars. Lars listens to the show, by the way. And I want to thank Lars for hooking us up with this amazing rooftop Palapa studio that we're currently in right now. It's amazing. It's just amazing, amigo. All right, let's get to our first interview, shall we? Now, Billy and Lisa at RISE. RISE is an acronym for Refugio Infantil Santa Esperanza. RISE is a children's shelter. It's kind of like an orphanage, but it's not really an orphanage. In Mexico, it's very rare that a child is orphaned because families are large, they're big, and if a child, becomes homeless or parentless, an aunt or an uncle usually steps in. So these kids come from families who, for the most part, have been deemed unable to care properly for a child. Maybe there's abuse, maybe there's drug addiction. So these kids have a home at RISE, and it's a home with structure. It's a safe place. And Lisa and Billy are angels on earth. They really are, the way that they care about these kids. Now, RISE, like so many charities, they're always raising funds. That's all they're doing almost, it feels like, just to keep the projects going and alive. So Debbie and I traveled over to RISE, hopped in a cab. It is on Calle Flores Mangon in Colonia Benito Juarez. It's across the Libramiento from Colonia Romance. There, Lisa gives a tour. And then we had a talk about what's happening at RISE over at Refugio Infantil Santa Esperanza, a children's shelter in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Lisa, Billy, thanks for coming on the show again. It's so nice to have you back and to be back at RISE.
Thanks, Barry. It's always great to talk with you.
Tell us what's going on. What's happening at RISE? What's going on here?
So we're growing, and in February we had children. We had 14 children, and we were very easily supporting that volume of children.
Yeah.
By October, we had 39 children.
Oh, wow.
We grew very fast. I wish I knew the exact reason why more children came, but we ended up having more children in need, and we are fortunate to be able to give them a good home. We're now, I think, fortunately, two different groups of 3 siblings have returned to their families. Another couple children have gone home to families, but we continued to get more children. So I think we're still at 33 or something like that. So that's really what's going on, is trying to keep up with that volume and the staff, making sure each child has the appropriate amount of care. That requires adding more staff. So we struggle with finding good employees.
Yeah.
Our driver is retiring. Our cook is moving into a nanny position. So we needed a new cook. So, lots of movement, but all good stuff. And the kids are thriving. We have this awesome reading and writing program where we're taking personal interest with volunteers, where we have them read, because many of the kids come to us don't know how to read or write, so they struggle in school. So we are making it our own personal investment to help them get to a level where they can learn better in school.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Wow. All right. So how are you doing with, people that listen here wonder about how they can volunteer. Are there volunteer spots available for people who are here for a little while or even for a short while?
That's a great question. We need volunteers to help with a variety of things, especially in the mornings, every day of the week with our toddlers and our babies. We have a little English class for the 3, 4, and 5-year-olds.
Who's your youngest?
Our youngest is maybe 2 months.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You are not kidding when you say babies.
Yeah, we have babies.
Wow.
We actually have 7 babies.
Oh.
So we needed to move our toddlers out of the nursery.
Right.
Usually the 3, 4, and 5-year-olds live there until they turn 5. Unfortunately, well, for whatever reasons, fortunate or unfortunately, we received many, many, many babies this year, and all of our toddlers got integrated with the older kids very quickly.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah. And so that is another reason we have an open position, a staff position from 3 to 7, Monday through Friday, actually Monday through Sunday. I mean, every day to help with the kids downstairs. It's just hard to manage 24 children from an age of 4 to 15.
Oh, wow.
They all have different needs. So we try to make sure they're doing their homework and getting exercise and staying out of trouble and keeping clean and all of those things. And it takes us a team to do it.
No kidding. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. But you do it, which is amazing.
We do it. Yes.
Oh, wow.
There was one point where one of our nannies had fallen and hurt her shoulder. And this was prior to building our staff up. And literally Claudia, our director, Billy and I were in the nursery with all these babies trying to figure out, change them, feed them, bathe them. It was quite comical. We could have been a little secret camera comedy show.
I hear you. All right. What kind of needs do you have other than volunteers? What do you need here?
So we need volunteers in the morning and really need volunteers in the afternoons, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, because they need help with homework and they need help with reading and writing. But this requires some Spanish speaking.
I was going to say.
So I'm looking for, Spanish speaking only or bilingual volunteers to help the kids keep up with their homework and advance in school.
Right. Because, if you're not doing that, maybe, you're dragging them backwards. You have to help push them forwards, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even though you know how to do the math. Okay. All right.
But so the other needs, because we have so many babies, we need diapers. If anybody's been shopping, diapers are $50 a box at Costco. I mean, there's 200 in them, but they go through them very quickly. Yeah. And we need formula, but usually that's special formula. Our babies come to us, they're not always healthy. So we need non-protein formula or we need non-lactose formula. We also need your regular formula, non-1 and 2. So all of that is very expensive too. So those have driven our costs up. So financial donations, these donations I'm talking about, we never have enough toilet paper. That's on the list every day. So next time you're at Costco or shopping and just pick up some extra toilet paper and some diapers and bring them over, we'd be grateful.
Right. All right. Well, I'll have the information so that you can bring it over. I'll have the instructions to get you right to the front door of Refugio Infantil Santa Esperanza, or RISE, which is easier. What else do you need?
I think those are the biggest. Oh, we need a driver. We're looking, our driver's retiring. And so we need someone that from 7 to 3 every day to help us get the kids to school, get them to therapies, get them to after school programs, in general, just a good driver that loves kids. Whoever comes here needs to love kids.
Right. And do they need a van?
No, we have 2 vehicles. They need a chauffeur license.
They need a chauffeur license. Okay, keep that in mind. If you run into some guy who hands you his card and it says chauffeur, you ask him, is it really a chauffeur or are you just kidding me, right? Well, all right. Well, tell us what kind of events you got planned, fundraising events?
We've got a lot of great fundraising events this year. I will start out by saying that we have a golf tournament. It's a 4-person scramble. It's going to be Saturday, December 14th at 1:30. It's going to be a 1:30 shotgun, and it's at Puerto Vallarta. And we take foursomes, threesomes, twosomes, single players. But it's a great event. We have a lot of great prizes, and I try to do something different on every hole, so it really makes it fun for everybody. And then there's a dinner afterwards.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. All right, well, that's coming right up. So mark your calendars if you got golf clubs, or if you can rent them, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
All right. Very good. What else you got planned?
Well, Head of Lettuce does a bingo every Saturday at 4:00. 4 to 6, and if you've never been to La Cantrina Cantina, it is a awesome place. It is on Lazaro Cardenas, and Hedda is hilarious, and it's always a great time at bingo, and they have a lot of great prizes for restaurants and different businesses around town. So it's It's a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon.
Okay, so Saturdays at what time?
Saturday at 4:00.
4:00.
And it's the 50-50 that comes to Rise. So that's the fundraising part. So the whole thing is fun, and there's a contribution to help us and the kids.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, good. What else? You probably have that special So You Can Rise thing. So You Think You Can Rise, right?
So You Think You Can Rise, yes. Yeah. It's a variety talent show. And this year, every year we do it a little bit different. And this year we're doing live auditions, 2 shows at the new Coco Cabaret.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And those are on January 12 and 19. And we're going to have 8 contestants compete. And this year, it'll be like The Voice, where the coaches are the judges in these rounds, and they will pick their teams. And at the end of the show, whatever contestants were selected by those coaches, then the audience will vote on the 4 they want to go to the grand finale. And those contestants will be coached by the coaches that selected them. It should be a lot of fun, and you'll know all the coaches. That's going to be on January 12th at 2 p.m. Will be hosted by Prescott Seymour, also known as Sutton Lee Seymour. Mm-hmm. And our coaches for that show are, you know her as Lady Gaga, but Maru Pradacanti. You've got Roy Gomez, known as Freddie Mercury here in town, Luis Villanueva, and Kevin Anthony. So that's the first live audition. The second live audition is going to be variety acts, and those will have the coaches of Kim LaRue, Derek Karkner,
Ali and David,
Trombo Batusta, and who is, Stephen Retchless. So we've got some great support from the folks in town that are professional performers. And Richard Lucas, known as Gouda Gabor, will be the host of that show. So that one's January 19th. At 2 p.m. also. And I think they're going to be fun afternoons.
Yeah, that show will actually be 8 contestants as well.
Well, it's going to be the same format where the coaches pick their teams and the audience pick the top 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, but what's kind of cool is that you are kind of changing up the format. You're making it a little bit different, and that's great. I mean, obviously, it's going to be wonderful. So
we learn something every year,
right? Exactly. You're fine tuning it. So the finale is again as it usually is over at Teatro Vallarta, which is a huge venue. It's big.
We need to fill that
seats.
Up. 900 seats. That's on February 23rd at 7 p.m. That show is sponsored.
A Sunday.
Yep, that's a Sunday. All these are Sundays. And PV is our title sponsor for the grand finale. Lick's homemade ice cream is the sponsor for our first live audition show. And Let's Faux is the sponsor for our second live audition show. So, and those... Stay tuned. All those folks will be featured on Barry's show.
They sure will.
Coming up. So they'll get an opportunity to update you on their businesses.
Oh, that's great. Yes, absolutely. So stay tuned for sure. What else can you tell us that's happening events-wise? Anything else that we're missing?
Those are our major events. We're very fortunate because around town, different things spawn off from the talent show. And many of, we forgot to Leave It to Cleavage.
Yeah, let's hear about
sorry,
that.
Yes, thank you for the prompt. Leave It to Cleavage is on December 13th.
You didn't see me, I was pulling down my shirt.
That is on December 13th and 14th over at the Arte Vallarta Theater in Old Town. They will also be doing a raffle and fundraising for Rise.
All right, so that's coming right up. The date is?
December 13th and 14th, which is a Friday and Saturday night at the Arte Vallarta Theater, the theater in Old Town.
It's in Old Town. Okay, all right. Okay, well, I'll have in the show notes, I have a map to that so that they can get there.
Yep.
All right, so Wait a minute. We didn't talk about the cleavage. So what's the deal about the cleavage?
I don't know.
You don't know?
It's a comedy show.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's a secret, or you should know. All right. All right. One or the other, right? I also receive your newsletter. You can get that out to other people, can't you?
Yes, we can. So if you're interested in being updated on what's happening at Rise, go to our website, risepb.com, and it says join our mailing list and put your email and your name there, and you will get the next newsletter update.
Right. All right. So that's a great way to keep involved and to keep in touch, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, Lisa and Billy, I want to thank you so much for coming back on the show, letting me reintroduce you and Rise. And hey, everybody, make sure you go to the show notes and see what's coming up. There's a lot of things coming up this month that you can put on your calendar. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Barry. It's always nice for you to think of us and think of the kids and everybody that listens. If you can lend a hand, we're always grateful. Go to risepb.com to get more information.
Excellent. And I'll have all those links in the show notes. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. It's always great to talk with you.
All right. Thank you so much, Lisa and Billy. Now, that event that Lisa was talking about, the Leave It to Cleavage one at Arte Vallarta Theater, again, that is Friday, December the 13th at 8 p.m., and they're going to do it again December the 14th, again, also at 8 p.m. I have all the info for all those upcoming events in the show notes, okay? Now, next up, we go to an old-time favorite restaurant of mine and my wife's, dating all the way back to our very first visit in 1984, 40 years ago. Now, at that time, the Bistro Jazz Cafe was one of the finest restaurants in all of Puerto Vallarta. It was elegant, it was romantic, and the food was just lovely. It was jazz on the river, morning and night. I even have a photo of Debbie and I taken right in front of Le Bistro some 40 years ago. I'll put that in the show notes, so you could go take a look at that as well. Now, I've been telling you over the last few weeks that Grupo La Palapa has been, if you just stick your head in there, they've been doing an incredible restoration job at the old Le Bistro on the Isla Cuale, and it's just stunning. And as I promised you, the last time we met, I have with us an old friend of the show, Sophia Butner. Sophia is the Director of Sales and Marketing at group events over at Grupo La Palapa. We first spoke with Sophia way back in November of 2017, believe it or not. We talked about the other fine properties of Grupo La Palapa. Talked about La Palapa on the Los Muertos Beach with the El Dorado Restaurant Beach Club right next door. We talked about La Troza, which is the beach club on the way to Las Animas, also a property of Grupo La Palapa. Well, now Sophia is back to tell us all about what to expect when you come and visit this classic, this new classic brought back to life. So let's go right now to the Isla Cuale, just below the newly built Insurgentes Bridge in Colonia Emiliano Zapata, in the Zona Romantica. And let's visit this beautiful restaurant, Le Bistro, by Grupo La Palapa in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Sophia, thanks for coming on the show again. It's so good to see you.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you.
Wow, we are in an amazing place.
Yes, we are.
Something that brings back a lot of memories to me, and it looks beautiful. Tell us about it.
Well, we are at Le Bistro restaurant on La Isla Cuale, our brand new restaurant at Grupo La Palapa. And we are so excited to be opening very soon.
Yeah, you're not quite sure. You're not letting on that secret yet, but it's happening soon.
It's happening soon. We are almost ready. As you can see, the restaurant is all set up. It's beautiful. We can't wait to open our doors. We're just tweaking the last bits and pieces from the service and the food. But as soon as we're ready, we are opening.
Yeah. Okay. So you're going to be doing, when you say opening, you're going to be doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner here?
Yes, we will.
Okay. Well, that's just like it used to be.
Yes. That's actually the whole idea, to
Yeah.
kind of bring back what Le Bistro used to be. I mean, you remember it was the best restaurant back then. I mean, I'm not from here, but I just hear so many great things.
Oh yeah, I mean, you would roll in here, and there would be jazz playing in the morning, and then just the most amazing breakfasts.
Right.
And then, of course, in the evening, so romantic because you're right alongside the river, and just the memories are amazing.
I know. I have friends that got married here 20, 30 years ago, and they just have the best memories. People that have come every Sunday with their families. They grew up here. So it's kind of, it's a lot of pressure for us because a lot of people have very big expectations. But you know what? It's a great thing because they're all so excited to come back and kind of see what we did with the place. And I think they're going to be very surprised in a very positive way.
Well, I'm going to have pictures in the show notes. You can find it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. You'll see how beautiful the place is. I mean, everybody complains about chairs and seats in Puerto Vallarta. You won't want to move. You're going to sit down and you're going to want to stay all day. I mean, it is just, it's comfortable.
Yes.
It's beautiful. I mean, you
Big,
feel like you're in a courtyard.
Chairs.
Oh, it's just gorgeous.
And also the whole idea of Le Bistro is you're at a house, a manor. I don't know how to describe it, but it's very cozy, but at the same time, very big and grand. So we have created these kind of cozy spaces. We have a bar area. We have a little bamboo patio where we're at right now. And yeah, it has several different spaces and very cozy corners and very spectacular decor. I mean, the whole idea of Le Bistro, the old Le Bistro was very eclectic and very elegant. And I think we are paying respect to that Le Bistro from the past.
Yeah, you
and
totally
we're
are.
bringing it back. It's kind of the same thing that we did with El Dorado in a way. So Alberto, the owner, he's from Puerto Vallarta. So he takes great pride and pleasure in kind of bringing back these amazing classics from the past.
Oh yeah, and the touches that you've done on the wrought iron out front, on the windows. I mean, it's just really, really, really sweet what you did
and
here.
The details.
Yeah.
I mean, really, when you come and get the chance to visit us, really spend time looking at all the details. I mean, Alberto and Renee, the owners, are so detail-oriented. They were involved in every little decision, every little pot, plant, everything. I mean, they are just amazing.
Well, you can tell they did a great job of doing that.
Yes.
That's for sure. Okay, remember in the show notes, check that out. I'll also have things on the Facebook page over at Puerto Vallarta Travel Show Facebook page, so I'll have videos there as well, so check that out as well. Tell us a little bit about the menu. What's that going to be like?
The menu, well, Le Bistro is going to be, I would say, classic American with a French twist. We do have the classics like the French onion soup. We have a Parisian salad. We have truffle raviolis. We have a shrimp and brie quesadilla. We're going to have Parisian gnocchi, lamb loin. I mean, so much. So much. And we're going to have the steak frites. I mean, very kind of French classics, but with a modern twist.
Well,
yeah. I mean, you're going to love it. It's so great. I've been tasting some today, and they are just amazing. Amazing flavors from all over the world. But very, very French inspired, but more kind of American.
Right. And how about your lunches are going to be similar to that? Or what?
Yeah, same concept. lunches, we have a little more of like finger food. We have more salads. We're going to have the niçoise salad, for example. We're going to have a gazpacho, a wagyu burger, chicken sandwich. I mean, a little more casual, but yeah, that same concept.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what about breakfast? What's that going to look like?
Ooh, the breakfast. My favorite, actually. It's very same as lunch and dinner, very French inspired. So we will have a lot of pastries like the croissant. We're going to have the chocolatine. We're also going to have some beignets with lemon curd and all those great stuff. We're obviously also going to have classics like strawberry crepes, apple crepes. We're going to have blueberry pancakes and then avocado toast and omelets and all those great things.
Oh, wow. You know what I remember the most from Le Bistro was a eggs Benedict on a croissant, a flaky croissant, and it was just an amazing dish.
I am going to recommend that to our chef.
Oh, you should.
Because we do have the Eggs Benedict, which is a classic, and we do have amazing croissants.
Oh,
so
there you go.
We have a quiche Lorraine as well.
Oh, well.
Yum. Yeah. So we've been trying all of those good things.
Excelente. All right, let's talk about, you have any plans for having any events here?
Oh, yes. So our first big event that we're going to have is December 13th, and that's the kickoff and membership renewal party for the Garden Club. Uh-huh. So, yeah, Sunny came over and we had a chat, and she's lovely, and we will have her first event here. And that's going to be December 13th at 6 p.m. And, yeah, right. So if you're part of the Garden Club, please come by.
Or if you're going to join the
Garden Club, please feel free to come. And then you can stay for dinner afterwards. Make sure to make a reservation. We already have a few of those. And we're also going to have Thanksgiving dinner. We're going to have on the 28th. We're going to have Thanksgiving dinner. And we're also going to have a New Year's Eve party.
Oh, wow.
So if you still don't have plans for New Year's Eve, please consider coming to Le Bistro.
Wow, what a great idea. Now, you're going to also do the same thing over on the beach? You're going to have...
So La Palapa and El Dorado are going to have their classic party. Every year we have a joint party with a big dance floor in the middle, fireworks, DJ, 5-course meal, premium open bar. And then here at Le Bistro, we're going to have a similar party as well.
Nice.
And with fireworks and everything.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Wow. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's come back then to Le Bistro.
Yes.
You have any idea what your hours are going to be when this happens, when you open up?
Probably same as La Palapa and El Dorado, so 8:30 to 11 p.m. We're going to check out how the movements of the clients happen. The beach is a little more open, so there's people that come in and out a lot. Here it's going to be more reservations.
Right.
So we're going to see. But for now, I think we're going to do 8:30 a.m. to either 10 or 11 p.m.
Okay.
Yep. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Excellent. All right. We'll be looking for that. And of course, when you open, I'll make the announcement, of course, on the show. Now, it must be really nice having the front end of your restaurant with all the beautiful work that they're doing. The Garden Club, of course, has taken over the Isla project and has made it really beautiful.
They have done such a great job. It looks spectacular. And a few months ago, we were invited to one of their cocktail parties out here at La Isla. And it was so great. And they actually told us that they're so happy that we're taking over Le Bistro. It was like their final eyesore that they needed to take care of at La Isla, because this has been abandoned for so long.
It has been. And the project has, they've tried to revive it for many, many years, but it never happened.
Right. And this is going to be very helpful to kind of bring people back to La Isla. We're working also with the city to try and work with the little kind of kids play area out here to improve that as well. And so we're going to do a lot of improvements in the area.
But give it a little helping
Give
hand
it a
over
little,
here, right?
yeah, of course. So people feel more inclined to come not only to Le Bistro but to the area.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's such a beautiful area, and the Garden Club again has done such a great job to beautify it, and we just want to contribute to that. Yeah.
Well, what you've done here is amazing. So, this is just another feather on that cap. Anything else I'm missing? Do you want to add anything at all, Sophia?
I mean, I just wanted to kind of point out who is Le Bistro. Like, we were at a marketing meeting a few months ago, and we were talking about, like, who is Le Bistro? Like, if Le Bistro would be a person, how would he or she be? And we concluded that Le Bistro is someone very artistic, very eclectic, very artsy, very elegant. And this is all kind of embodied in this restaurant, and we are so very proud of the results. And yeah, we just can't wait to share it with everybody.
I love that. I love that description. Well, that's really wonderful. I do the same.
Yeah.
I think about who my listener is, right?
Right.
And sometimes I have a picture sitting out in front of me. That's my listener right there, right? So you've got the same thing going on. I mean, who is the person coming to Le Bistro? Who is that person?
Yeah, and who is the brand of Le Bistro? I mean, if you would personify the restaurant, I mean, who would you find? Yeah, so kind of that's the essence of Le Bistro. And Alberto and Renee, the owners, they travel a lot, and they have a daughter that lives in France. She lived in Paris for 5 years, and she's been living in Bordeaux for the past 2 years.
Oh my.
And obviously they visit her a lot. And so a lot of things that you're going to see here is inspired directly from France and from their other trips around the world. So yeah, it's such a great place, very detailed, and with a lot of elements of design and beauty.
Beautiful. It is so elegant. You guys will love it. Look for it in the show notes. And of course, come to Le Bistro, right? That's how you're going to see. Just come in person, right? So I also noticed you have a beautiful sculpture here. It's a bronze sculpture by Jim Demetrio, no?
Yes. The one and only Jim Demetrio made a mermaid sculpture for us. It is such a wonderful, unique piece. You have to come and see it. It's so, so pretty. It's a mermaid kind of emerging from the water. It has a little small turtle on the wave. It's such a detailed, perfect piece.
Oh, wow.
We love it so much. And it's kind of in the center of the restaurant, and it just gives it such an elegant vibe to the restaurant.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. All right, we'll have a picture of that in the show notes too, but you got to come in and see Jim's latest creation.
Yes, absolutely. Please do.
Sophia, thanks so much for coming on the show again. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
letting
Barry.
me introduce Le Bistro to my listeners. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. We can't wait to have all of you visit. We're going to be open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, hopefully very soon. And definitely by the end of the month, we will be open. So the end of November, beginning December, make sure to follow us on Instagram and also Facebook. That's where we're going to announce the opening date.
Excellent. Okay, I'll have links to that in the show notes, of course. And hey, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Barry.
All right. Thank you so much, Sophia. Thanks for helping us put the finishing touches on this classic, beautiful restaurant. Le Bistro is now open, by the way, for dinner, and lunch and breakfast is just starting to get rolling for them. Sophia told me that they will be having that classic. They're going to have that Eggs Benedict on a croissant for their breakfast, so look out for that. Chef's right on that, she says. But the food is amazing. The place, the venue is just stunning. It's so beautiful. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. And I have all of that information for Le Bistro in the show notes right here at www.puertovallarta.com. PuertoVallartaTravelShow.com. And I want to thank you again. I want to thank La Palapa for the great food and locations and for helping me with my theme song music. I want to thank you very much, Alberto Perez, for that. All right, well, that should do it this week. Next week, hey, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you happen to think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending a message. And remember, if you are considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, well, you must go to vallartainfo.com. That's JR's website. Reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value-for-value proposition. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying, thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else, so do it, really. And when you do take one of these tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget, he's got his maps, his DIY tours, and I have links to all of those in the show notes. Once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and follow or share with a lover of Puerto Vallarta. Give me a good review wherever you happen to be listening. That way we get the word out to more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, where have you been? You really need to go take a look there. I have the links to the places that we talk about. I've got interesting pictures and even more than that right there in my blog and in my show notes of each episode. So check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right? Thank you so much to Lisa and Billy from Rise and Refugio Infantil Santa Esperanza. Hey, get over there, lend them a hand by donating some time or money. They're a worthy cause. Get over there and see what you can do for them. Check out their upcoming events. They're in the show notes. And thank you so much to Sophia Botner from Le Bistro Restaurant, Riverside Dining on the Isla Cuale in the heart of Puerto Vallarta. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, dine in elegance as only you would expect from Grupo La Palapa. And I have links and maps and all that stuff for Le Bistro in the show notes at www.PuertoVallartaTravelShow.com. Hey, thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler, signing off with a wish for you all to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
De Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino, perno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río, cuando todo está en calma, pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta.